How's it going, everybody? Too Spooky here, and welcome back to the week of 50s. And if you don't know what the week of 50s is, we recently hit 50,000 subscribers, and because of that, I'm putting out a 50 facts video every single day for a whole week. Today is day number 6, which means there's only one more video after this one. Unfortunately, everything must come to an end sometime. But on that note, today, we're going to be counting down 50 facts about Game of Thrones. This video was suggested by 5 of you guys. Thank you all so much for the suggestion. This is one of my favorite TV shows, and I am pumped to bring you guys a video about it. But with that in mind, watch all of your favorite characters die before your eyes, and let's get right into the facts. Number 1. Game of Thrones is the most illegally downloaded show ever. For instance, the show was pirated 14.4 million times in 2015, and the number of pirated episodes has only gone up each year. Number 2. The Iron Throne in the show isn't as big as it was supposed to be. The throne that George envisioned in his books was supposed to look more like this instead. Much, much bigger indeed. Compiled of over 1,000 swords hammered loosely together by blacksmiths in a very unsymmetrical, horrifying manner. Number 3. During the title sequence, King's Landing, Winterfell, and the Wall are the only areas to have been featured every single episode. Number 4. The average episode costs HBO a whopping $6 million to create. Number 5. Quite a few actors on the show haven't read the books, and they don't plan to until after the show is finished. This is because they feel it might affect their acting if they know what will happen to their respective characters. Number 6. The Red Wedding is based on actual events, like a lot of other major plots on the show. This one in particular is based off of the Black Dinner of 1440 and the Massacre of Glencoe from 1692. If you want to go read up on those, you can see the similarities. Number 7. After Sean Bean died on the set of Season 1, he reportedly played soccer with his severed head. Number 8. George R.R. Martin writes only one episode every season, and leaves the rest to the show's writers. Number 9. David Peterson created an entirely new language for the Dothraki in the show. He had this language be practiced by Khal Drogo and the rest of the crew. It was created from a mixture of Mongolian, American Indian, and Arabic languages, and this language differs completely from the language used in the books. This language is also made up currently of over 3,000 words. Number 10. Apparently the Golden Crown death scene in Season 1 had to be done in only one take because the golden paint would ruin the actor's costume. And on top of that, they had to release smoke machines at exactly the right time to create that burning effect. In the end, they nailed the take. Number 11. Theon's sister Yara is actually named Asha in the books. Her name was changed because the producers didn't want her name being confused with Osha. Number 12. During Season 3, the costume director used exactly 31,653 square feet of leather and fur for the costumes. Number 13. Apparently Iwan, the actor who plays Ramsay, had to spend multiple hours eating sausage for the sausage scene with Theon to get it right, and it was very uncomfortable for him. Number 14. Peter Dinklage was George Martin's and the producer's first choice to play Tyrion. They didn't do any other auditions for Tyrion besides him. Number 15. Lena and Peter were actually friends before the show began, so when Peter was talking to producers about possibilities for Cersei, he suggested Lena, and the rest is history. Number 16. On the topic of Peter Dinklage, since he is a vegetarian outside of Game of Thrones, all the meat he eats on the show isn't real and is actually made of tofu so that he can eat it. Number 17. Much like with Peter Dinklage, Sean Bean was also the only actor chosen to play Ned Stark, and he was also one of the first actors chosen for the series. And though they didn't audition any other actors, they apparently had a few actors lined up in case Sean declined. Number 18. Apparently during Season 3, Kit Harington was wearing a cast while filming different scenes for Season 3, because beforehand he locked himself out of his apartment and tried to climb through a window. Number 19. The actress who plays the Red Woman, Melisandre, was actually offered the role of Cersei Lannister. However, she had to turn it down due to her being stuck in the process of filming a Dutch comedy. Number 20. In the books, the Targaryens are known for their white silver hair and their violet eyes. Well, originally Daenerys and her brother were supposed to wear violet contact lenses, but after a few takes, they decided to scrap them because they felt the lenses hurt the actor's ability to show emotion. Number 21. Game of Thrones is credited with creating a whole new phrase entirely, which is the phrase sexposition, which is sex and position put together. Basically what it means is the act of revealing very important plot while some sort of graphic and sexual acts happen in the background.
Number 22.
Hey, too spooky. I've got a fact. Please let me read this one.
Fine, Bane, go ahead.
The actor who plays Shay started her career as a porn actress. She used to go by the name Delara. You can thank me later.
Bane, what the fuck, man? Go sit in the corner and think about what you've just done. We have impressionable viewers, you know. However, Game of Thrones is a pretty explicit show, so maybe not on this video.
You can thank me later as well, too spooky. I'll be waiting.
Number 23. Ramsay Snow almost played Jon Snow. Iwin was the runner-up to play Jon Snow. The role went to Kit Harington, and Iwin went on to play Ramsay instead. Number 24. Northern Ireland says Game of Thrones has brought more than $100 million to their economy due to massive production. Number 25. Just like earlier how we talked about Ramsay having to eat way too many sausages for a scene, Sansa also had to eat multiple lemon cakes because in the scene where Lysa offers Sansa lemon cakes before accusing her of sleeping with Littlefinger, apparently this scene also took a couple hours. Number 26. There is an unaired pilot episode. Apparently it was so bad that it had to be reshot completely and it almost caused the show to be cancelled before it even began. Number 27. George R.R. Martin has stated that Littlefinger is the character with the most differences from the books and the show.
Number 28.
The Hall of Faces in Season 5 is made up of over 600 prosthetic faces which were made from over 30 extras and crew members as models. Number 29. Almost all the costumes on the show require being aged for 2 whole weeks so they look beaten up and fit that time period instead of looking like cheap knockoffs. Number 30. Before the dragons are created with visual effects in post, they are nothing but a green stick with a big green ball on the end of it that the actors have to interact with.
Number 31.
George Martin originally planned for the series to only be a trilogy, but he later decided to make it even longer by splitting the first book, titled A Game of Thrones, into 3 books instead of leaving it as 1. Number 32. In Season 5, the final fight with the Walkers in Hardhome took over 3 weeks to film.
Number 33.
All of the wigs on the show can cost up to $7,000.
Well, why is that exactly? That's a little expensive when you could just buy a stylish toupee like mine for only $10. That's outrageous.
Well, you see, these wigs are made up of over 2 feet of real human hair, while on the other hand, yours looks like it was made up of used toilet brush strands.
What did you say?
Number 34. Jack Gleason, the actor of Joffrey, received a letter from George Martin after the first season aired saying, "Congratulations, everyone hates you," because George felt he did such a good job portraying his evil creation. Number 35. George R.R. Martin and his wife are huge Grateful Dead fans. Because of that, they named the Wyrwood trees after Bob Wurr. Number 36. Back in 2012, over 160 babies were named Khaleesi. Number 37. Apparently there is over 70 ways to say hodor, and each way has a completely different meaning than the next, mainly to show different emotions for the character. Number 38. Season 2 of Game of Thrones was given the OK by HBO after only 2 days after the pilot episode's success. Number 39. Many of the actors who play Night's Watch extras also play members of Daenerys' army, the Unsullied. Number 40. You remember when Hot Pie gave Brienne that dire wolf bread? Well, the producers wanted that bread to look exactly like a dire wolf, and instead of making a bunch of bread individually, they made 70 loaves all at once, and then they used the best one out of those 70.
Number 41.
When Roose Bolton says, "The Lannisters send their regards" at the Red Wedding, this line is actually slightly different in the books. Instead, in the books, he says, "Jaime Lannister sends his regards." Number 42. Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa on the show, adopted her dire wolf from the show. Since the wolf was dead in the series, they wanted to find a home for her, so Sophie and her mother persuaded them to let them adopt her. Number 43. On the topic of dire wolves, they are based on actual dire wolves. See, dire wolves are now extinct, but back then they were real, and they were estimated to have weighed up to 175 pounds. Number 44. The actors are given steel swords for up-close and personal scenes, while they are given aluminum or rubber swords for scenes involving fights or scenes involving animals. Number 45. There have been a total of 3 porn parodies made based on Game of Thrones, called Game of Bones, Sex and Thrones, and This Ain't Game of Thrones, XXX. Wow. Number 46. Do you guys remember that huge horse heart Daenerys had to eat? Well, that was actually just a huge gummy bear-like substance coated in fake blood. Emilia Clarke has even said that this heart tasted a lot like bleach, and the blood was so sticky that she ended up getting stuck to a toilet after they finished filming the scene. Number 47. I won't name any names other than 2, but a lot of characters that are dead on screen are still alive in the books, such as Stannis and his daughter Shireen. There are quite a few more, but I don't want to spoil too much. Number 48. So I talked about this in my previous Week of 50s episode about Skyrim, but this also applies to Game of Thrones. The dragons in Game of Thrones aren't actually considered dragons, but instead they are wyverns. See, wyverns have 2 feet, while dragons have 4. So apparently everything we thought were dragons are actually just wyverns instead. Number 49. Sophie Turner has said that the writers make fake scripts to trick the actors into thinking they're going to be killed off. She also added that about 3 weeks later, they'll end up telling you that it was just a joke. And the moment you have all been waiting for. Number 50. George R.R. Martin revealed the ending of the book series to the television show producers in case he does not live to finish the books, and also because the producers were unsure if they would be ending the show before George completed his last book. The producers planned to end the show in 2018, with only 2 more seasons planned, each with less than 10 episodes. So even though we all don't want it to end, everything must come to an end at some point. And if you want to know the end before it appears on screen, well, you should talk to the producers. But there you have it, everybody. 50 facts about Game of Thrones. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you guys learned something today. If you did, make sure to leave a like, because if you do, there is a 0.17% chance that you will receive your very own dragon. That is correct. It'll probably appear in an egg at first, and you gotta walk through a flaming building to hatch it, but then you'll have a dragon, so suck it up. Remember, the chance is very slim, so don't expect it. And if you haven't already, why don't you hit that subscribe button to be notified about future videos as they come out. We've got 1 more video left in the Week of 50s, and I'm sad to see the Week of 50s go so soon, but like I said, everything must come to an end. So stay tuned for that tomorrow, and I hope you guys are enjoying it so far.
Also, make sure to like and follow Too Spooky on his social media. Links are in the description.
Thank you, Bane. But on that note, if you guys cannot get enough Too Spooky content, well, why don't you click here for 50 facts about Skyrim, which was actually the previous video in the Week of 50s. And if that's not doing it for you, well, why don't you click here for 5 facts about Pulp Fiction. That video was actually part of the Week of 5s back in the day. But on that note, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.